So great news, everybody. Now that I've officially been cleared for action after this stress fracture in my fibula, I can officially start giving you some more detailed shoe reviews as I'm able to start running on the road once more. So that being said, the Nike Zoom Fly 4 is back on my list and we are at 100 plus miles. So let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here we go. So what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Filip Latocha, and today, as you already can guess, we are discussing the Nike Zoom Fly 4 after 100 plus miles of mixed terrain, basically some walking, treadmill miles, and we also have some road running miles as well. So before we get into it, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed and watching this content, thank you so much. Love you guys a lot. Without further ado, specs for the shoe are right here, so you have them for your reference. And we're just going to go break the shoe right away and just kind of talk about it and its different elements and whatnot. But as per tradition on this channel, let's look at the outsoles, the bottoms, and see what 100 plus miles has done to them. So here's the left foot and all of its glory, in addition to the heel. Here is the right foot, in addition to the heel, and all the good stuff involved with it. And I think we'll just start off again, as per tradition, with the right foot, which I'm going to say this right away. If you've watched my previous videos, you already know the right side of my right foot here. I do have this kind of supination, which I have been really good about working on, trying to fix now that, again, as I mentioned before, I have this like fibula stress fracture, stress reaction that was probably as a result of really bad form, possibly crowning in the ground that I run on. And yeah, so there's just a lot of things that I'm doing in the background to get this all sorted out. But again, we're not here to discuss my running form. We're here more to discuss the Zoom Fly 4 and some of the wonders I'm seeing with it. So again, if you've watched the previous reviews of this shoe, you've probably already know that I really look highly to this shoe. There's a lot of great stuff that's involved with it, in my opinion. And there's some weird stuff that I'm still kind of trying to work through, but again, the cons do not outweigh the pros by like a long shot. So again, with the outsole, as you can see, there is a little bit of wear and tear here still on the outside. And it's very similar to, again, the build in terms of design to the Vaporfly Next Percent. I think the material might be slightly different. Maybe the rubber is a slightly different compound. In addition to that, this area here is cut off from the shoe, rather than in the Vaporfly Next Percent, where it's built a little bit differently in this area and has a slightly different reaction when you hit the ground. To my understanding, this rubber is more profound in the Vaporfly Next Percent and it sticks out, and here it's perfectly level with the React foam in this particular area, as you can see. The heel, again, not too much wear and tear because A, I'm not a heel striker, and B, even though I am walking in this shoe and doing some weightlifting in it, it's not, you know, to the level where you should be expecting any sort of wear that would effectively impact my running in any sort of way. It really does not. So as you can see, that's like the only real pain point is just right about this area up here. And then for 100 plus miles, still looking good. It doesn't look like we're breaking into the carbon plate whatsoever, and it doesn't look like we'll get to that point anytime soon, in my opinion. From what I see, there's a lot of react that the shoe is going to have to shred through before we get there, and I think I'll retire the shoe before it even gets to that point, only just because I don't want to risk another injury and I don't want to start breaking the react to that point. So as again we mentioned before on the channel, with this shoe in particular, the React foam with the carbon plate inside is the typical Zoom Fly signature build, and I think it really works well as like an everyday trainer / everyday racer type of model shoe. And obviously that's what the intent of this shoe is. It's supposed to be, at least on paper, supposed to be the partner to the Vaporfly Next Percent in terms of just being the shoe you're going to use every single day alongside it. And yeah, it's supposed to save the miles on the Vaporfly Next Percent, unless, you know, you have the money, you like to spend it, and you're okay with training in a Vaporfly Next Percent like I was for a long time before I started experimenting with other shoes. This is just the perfect shoe just to go training in tandem with. And again, the things, of course, that the shoe is just known for, that's not really a gripe or a con, it's just, it is what it is with this type of style shoe, is that at slower paces, it is going to feel very wobbly and unstable because the shoe does not want you necessarily having like this mid-foot strike here. It really wants you to have this like mid-foot, forefoot strike area right here where the carbon plate is its widest, and it wants you to get, that impact and that decompression rebound effect from the plate as you're striking the ground. So that's really the point, is to have this shoe going at a slightly faster pace. And I think there's a window with this shoe. So like in the Vaporfly Next Percent, there's a much wider window, I would say, of like slower pace, like a slow fast pace and like a fast pace, where the shoe is going to feel really stable and just really ride with you. And then there's like a red line to this shoe, in my opinion, where it starts getting a little bit too unstable and you need to kind of just like up it a little bit. And this is where, the way I'm describing it now, like with the Alpha Fly, like the room of easy runs kind of diminishes, but then in turn you get a little bit more speed out of the Alpha Fly and a lot more stability as you're going faster. That's kind of like a bit of a tangent to this particular thing, but in this case I would say the Zoom Fly finds itself in this like category right here, where you can go a little bit slower. So in my case, I can probably keep like a 730 per mile pace in the shoe, feel really comfortable. But by the time I break into something like, maybe, at least when I was experimenting with this on the treadmill, that is, I can probably get to like a 545, 540 pace before I start losing a little bit of stability in the shoe, because the React just isn't keeping up with perhaps the turnover that I'm having in the shoe. And like at that point, you need something like ZoomX in the shoe to, get that extra bounce, to get that extra softness and that more reaction out of the carbon plate than something like this that's a lot more dense. It's a little bit heavier. So that's where like minor details matter when we're like getting past the 6 minute minute pace per mile. But in this particular case, if you're like the daily runner and your pace is somewhere between like 9 and like 7 minutes per mile at like a really, really good day, I'd say you would be pretty okay with this shoe in that like 8:30 to 8 minute, maybe like 7:45 minute per mile pace, if that's like your kind of your central zone, I would say, because again, the carbon plate is going to it's going to stabilize the shoe a little bit, but because of the way that the foam is built out, it is going to just have that little bit instability on your slower runs. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're training in this shoe and you decide, hey, do I want this to be a daily trainer, or do I want this to be like my everyday racer? So when I lace this thing up, it's like, it's go time. Let's have a nice tempo or threshold session. Ultimately, it's like what you got to consider with this. So what else? I think the shoe, in terms of fit, has still been really good overall. It does feel a lot thinner than some of the previous Zoom Flies I've run in before, which is probably good. I mean, the idea is I'd rather have the shoe be a little bit tighter than wider. And that's just me, because yeah, if the shoe's a little bit too wide, then the foot kind of moves around in the shoe and you do lose a little bit of your power input output kind of deal. Whereas if the shoe's a little bit tighter, like my toe box can figure it out pretty well. If I need to like trim my nails or something, or I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that I may have like some bloody toes afterwards from like toenail clippings and whatnot, within the foot, like that's something I'm willing to accept. So that's just something to consider when you're buying this shoe, is like if you do have wide feet, you should probably consider buying the wider version of this shoe. So one of the issues I had with the shoe before, especially I think in the left foot here, was that whenever I was tying the shoelaces, I would get like this, basically the headache effect in your foot, where it was like too tight in this one particular area right here. And as a result, I had to loosen the left foot just so it wasn't going to feel that tight. And the problem with that is that the foot would be kind of loose in this ankle area. And if you were taking turns, it would just not feel that great, especially while running on the road. So that has pretty much subsided as far as I'm concerned. And I think what's happening is, now that the shoelaces are a little bit tighter in this area, the lock in the foot has really just become better, and this top area isn't the main area of support for the shoe when you're running in it. I think you do want like the mid area, forefoot area of your foot to be the point that is locked down, as that's the area that's going to be, experiencing the front end impact rebound of the carbon plate within this shoe. So just a really good take, I would say, from that perspective. And like whatever happens up here, it's not nearly as important as what's going on down here. So again, I got that all sorted out, and now the shoe is like really great. I can tie it as tough as I need to, and I'll just have a really good time with it overall. So that's kind of 100+ miles in that the shoe has been consistently feeling a lot better as I've been running in it, and that's all I can ask for in a particular shoe like this. You want the daily trainer to be reliable, or in this case the daily racer. You want it to be reliable, you want it to be fast, you want to feel good in it, and I'll tell you this much, with the fibula issues I've had in the past, like having a shoe like this that was stiff with a carbon plate, and like, again, I'm not a medical professional or anything like that, it definitely helped with being able to run with this like fractured fibula, in the sense that with a really soft shoe, you're going to have like a bit of sink with your foot and like your ankle and all that, because the foam is just kind of soft, and then you have that rebound afterwards. Whereas in a carbon plate shoe, there's no time for gimmicks, right? Like the shoe doesn't have nearly as much sink as something like that, and you're gonna have this carbon plate just rebound you a lot quicker. And yeah, that's just really the point of the shoe, really, is not to have like a comfortable run necessarily, but it's supposed to give you more of a springy, kind of snappy effect to your foot, and that's been really crucial when it comes to training with like an injury in this case. And now at this point, like, I don't really feel the fibula much at all. I just do have to warm up like the ankle, kind of like the soleus calf area here and there, but realistically, like, this definitely did like a really good job in terms of working with me through this injury. And I think, yeah, at 100%, this will be a really awesome shoe to run in as well. And I'm getting there. I feel like I'm maybe at like 85 to 90% in terms of recovery. So maybe when I hit like the 150 or 200 plus mile review mark on this shoe, I'm really going to be able to take it for a spin outside and kind of see what happens with it. So as I mentioned, I think a little bit earlier, I didn't want to review this shoe until I could take it outside for more than just one road run in its, in its lifetime. So I did run outside yesterday. I did put in about 5.5 miles. Felt really good. I couldn't really push the paces that I want because, again, I'm a little bit less in shape than I was 7 weeks ago when I did initially, like, fracture this fibula. But that being said, the build is just going to keep going up from there. So running an average of 7 minute pace per mile in this shoe has been really easy. It's been really straightforward, and like, I don't feel exhausted running in this shoe at those paces. It's just, we're back in the grind now. So it's a case of just getting back to, just daily running, getting that cardiovascular fitness, and I think this is the shoe that's going to do it. So I don't know if there's people like me who are in a similar scenario where they're just coming off an injury and they need something to quickly jumpstart them into a training program or get some speed back or kind of experience a little bit more, stress from a cardiovascular standpoint. I think this would be like a good shoe to definitely start testing that, to see if, again, like, if your injury is not bad and you can power through it and you're not going to make it worse as you're running. Something with a carbon plate is definitely going to help build a little bit of efficiency, and it's just going to help you have more of a stiff run that's not going to allow for too much free movement, so no like additional suspension that may or may not like cause more damage to your foot. This will just kind of give you this like flat snap kind of run ultimately. So yeah, that's kind of the perspective of somebody with fibula that was stress fractured and how a Zoomfly 4 feels. But yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here. So if you guys got any questions, comments, leave them down below. But other than that, I think we're wrapped up here. Next time we'll talk about this will be either at 150 or 200 plus miles, but we'll see which one has more reasonable results and more distinguished changes to the shoe at that point in time. So thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one.